Hello and welcome back. So, we have learned about geospatial data in the previous section of this course. There, we learned about some operators using which we can find the nearby places for a given location. And we also learned how we can find locations within an area and how we can check if a location is present in a given area or not. But there, we were using find method for querying the location specific data. Now let's say we want to find all the nearby places for a given location using aggregation framework. How can we do that? For that, we have another stage in aggregation framework called geoNear. So the geoNear stage in MongoDB's aggregation pipeline is specifically designed to efficiently query geospatial data, and it returns documents sorted by their proximity to a specified geographic point. And we will understand this in a bit. But the important point to note here is that the geoNear stage must be the first stage in aggregation pipeline because it has to use the geospatial index on the collection to work properly. So in the previous section, we learned that when we were using geospatial operators like $near, $within, or any other geospatial operator, it required a geospatial index on the field which was storing the location. And same is true for this geoNear operator also. In order for this geoNear operator to work properly, it needs to utilize the geospatial index created on a field which is storing the coordinates. And we create an index on a collection. And we have learned that only the first stage in an aggregation pipeline works on a collection. It is applied on a collection. Other stages uses the result of the previous stage. So in order for this geoNear stage to work properly, it should always be the first stage in the aggregation pipeline so that it will be applied on the collection itself and it can utilize the geospatial index on that collection. With that, let's go to Mongo Shell and let's try to understand this geoNear stage with an example. So what we are going to do is we are going to work with our places collection. So for that, let's say db.places.aggregate. Here I'm using the aggregation framework. Let's pass an array there because to the aggregate method, we need to pass an array. In there, we are going to use a stage called $geoNear. Okay. And in here, we need to specify some properties. For example, we need to specify a field called near, which is going to store the type and the coordinates of the location from where we want to find all the nearby places. So here, let's say type is point, and then let's also specify the coordinates. And I'm going to get this coordinate from above. Okay, so we are going to use this coordinate which we used for this near operator. So I'm going to copy this longitude and latitude. Okay, let's scroll down and let me specify the coordinates here. So here the coordinate is in longitude and latitude. Then the next property which we need to specify here is max distance. And this value should be in meters. So here I'm going to specify 300 meters. Then we also need to specify num. Now this is optional, but if you want to limit how many places in the result do you want, you can specify this num. Okay, so for example, let's say I want to get the 10 places in the result, but in our places document, we have only 5 places. So out of those 5 places, whichever place is near, whichever place is within 300-meter distance, that will be returned. But you can also specify the number, the limit using this num property. So I just wanted to show you that. And then what we can also have is we can have query. And here you can specify any filtering query. Why this is required? Because as I said, this geoNear will always be the first stage in your aggregation pipeline because it has to utilize the geospatial index on the field which is storing the coordinates. And if you also want to efficiently filter the documents, then also you might need to utilize the index. So for example, let's say I want to sort all the documents from the collection where let's say gender is male, and then I want to apply this geoNear stage. Now, in order to fetch all the documents where the gender is male, I might want to utilize any index which is created on the gender field. And to utilize that, I'll have to use the match stage, and it should be the first stage because only the first stage will be applied on the collection itself, and then only the match stage can use the index on the gender field. But if that is the case, then geoNear will come after match stage. So it will not be able to utilize the geospatial index on the field which is storing the location. So what MongoDB does is it provides us this option called query, where we can specify how do we want to filter the documents, how do we want to query the documents. So whatever condition we will specify here, for example, if I say gender should be male, here this query can still utilize the index which is created on the gender field. Okay, so that's why this option is also provided along with this geoneer. But here in our places collection, we have only name and the location field. We don't have any gender field. So I don't want to filter anything here. So I'm simply going to remove it. Okay, it is not required in our case. Similarly, this num is also not required in our case, but let me keep it here for now. And finally, we also have another field called distance field. Okay, and here you can specify a name. I'm simply going to call it as distance. And what it will do is it will create a distance field in the return documents where it is going to store the distance between the current location, in this case, this location, and the location which it has found in the places collection. Okay, so now let me go and let me copy this command. Let me clear the shell here. Let's paste this command. And if I press enter, so it says geoneer no longer supports the num parameter. So I think in the new version, this num parameter is not supported. So let's remove it. Let's copy this. Let's clear the shell. And as you can see here, it also says use limit stage instead. So if you want to, let's say, limit the number of documents to 10, then after this geoneer stage, you can also use this limit stage, which will limit the number of documents from the places collection. Okay, so no need to specify the num property here for this geoneer stage. Instead, you can use this limit stage. All right, so let me clear the shell. Let me paste the command one more time. I have removed the num field from there. If I press enter, it has returned us all the documents which is near to this coordinate in our places collection. And you will also see the distance between the current location, I mean the coordinates which we have provided, and the place in the places collection. So here it is 226 meters far, here it is 244 meters far. So in this way, we can also use geonear stage if we want to find all the nearby places for a given location. Okay, but very important point to remember is geonear should always be the first stage in your aggregation pipeline. Then only it can utilize the geospatial index created on the collection. If you specify it as the second stage or third stage, in that case, this geonear will be applied on the result of previous stage. So in that case, it will not have access to the geospatial index created on the places collection. I hope you got the point. This is all from this lecture. If you have any questions, then feel free to ask it. Thank you for listening and have a great day.